People used to treat me like I was nothing, a mere shadow in a world built on privilege. It was an ordinary day on an extraordinary flight, a first-class cabin filled with luxury where I, a black girl in a hoodie, was unceremoniously confronted by a wealthy white woman who felt threatened by my very presence. As I buried myself in my studies, working hard to create a future where I belonged, she approached me, her voice dripping with entitlement, demanding that I vacate a seat that she believed was rightfully hers. I blinked in confusion, trying to absorb her venomous words. "Do you really think you belong here?" she sneered, flanked by a chorus of judging eyes. My heart raced, but I remained calm, responding with respect, even as her insults escalated, fueled by the remarks of other passengers eager to join her crusade. Position attendant Lisa, initially supportive, faltered under the weight of the woman's bribes, and my isolation deepened. I felt humiliation rise within me as passengers recorded the scene, transforming my quiet study into a spectacle of disdain. Frantically, I tried to call my parents, but my hands shook with despair. Then Captain Davis arrived, his calm authority cutting through the chaos. With a surge of courage, I shared my truth, and suddenly the atmosphere shifted. A sense of purpose ignited within me as I discovered my voice. And then came the security team, revealing the truth hidden beneath judgments. My father, Jonathan Robinson, the CEO of the airline, stood in the doorway. The insistent whispers of the crowd faded into a stunned silence, their faces pale with the realization of their gross misjudgment. As I was escorted to safety, a bittersweet satisfaction washed over me. I knew my worth wasn't dictated by my appearance, but I couldn't shake the disappointment in the adults around me who judged so hastily. I didn't just reclaim my seat, I challenged injustice, and with that I stepped into a new chapter, stronger and more determined than ever. The hum of the airplane engines faded as the white woman's voice pierced through the cabin. "Excuse me," she said, her tone dripping with entitlement. "You're in my seat." The black girl looked up from her book, her brow furrowed. "No, I'm in 2A. This is my seat," she replied, her voice calm yet quivering with disbelief. "Do you even belong in first class? You don't look like you can afford it," the woman scoffed, crossing her arms defiantly. The girl's cheeks flushed, but she held her ground. "My dad works hard so I can be here. I assure you, I'm supposed to be in this seat." Around them, passengers began to murmur. "Just move to coach," one woman chimed in. "You're causing a scene." The protagonist's heart raced as the mocking laughter echoed around her. "This isn't fair," she whispered, feeling small and vulnerable under the weight of their judgment. "Lisa," the woman called, summoning the flight attendant. "Come here. This girl is taking a seat she doesn't deserve." Lisa glanced nervously between them, her gaze drifting toward the woman's designer handbag. Let's resolve this quickly," she muttered, hesitation lingering in her voice. As the tension escalated, the girl shot a quick text to her dad, but there was no response. "Really, just let it go," one more voice added, igniting her frustration. Suddenly, the captain appeared on the scene, authority radiating from him. "What seems to be the issue?" "Mingle being harassed for my seat," the girl started, her voice shaky but determined. "That's not true," the woman interrupted, feigning innocence. "She's not supposed to be here." Feeling emboldened, the girl took a deep breath. "I'm here because I belong. My dad is Jonathan Robinson." Scrolled then fell like a weight. There was a moment later, the door opened, revealing a security team. As her father strode in, the real shock hit the cabin. Embarrassed gasps erupted, the adults understanding their grave mistake. The girl's lips turned up slightly, bittersweet satisfaction mingling with the harsh sting of humiliation. The flight was stifling, the air thick with tension. She sat quietly, eyes trained on her textbook, a hood pulled low to shield her from the disapproving glances. The soft hum of the engines was interrupted by a sharp voice. "Excuse me, but you're not supposed to be in first class," the wealthy white woman huffed, her designer handbag clutched tightly. The protagonist lifted her gaze, confusion mingling with the hurt that simmered just below the surface. "I'm traveling with my father," she replied, her voice steady but strained. "Who? The one who cleans planes?" "You don't belong here," the woman spat, laughter bubbling behind her. Others around them began to murmur, eyes flitting back and forth like spectators at a show. The protagonist felt heat rise in her chest. the sting of humiliation wrapping itself tightly around her. Even the flight attendant, initially sympathetic, faltered at a whispered offer she couldn't refuse. That betrayal felt like a knife, twisting deeper as she glanced around, the voices growing louder, veering toward cruel. More than one phone emerged, the sharp click of cameras becoming a perverse applause for the spectacle. Panic unfurled in her stomach. She attempted to call her parents, fingers trembling. No service. Then the familiar voice of Captain Davis broke through, calm yet authoritative. "What's happening here?" Suddenly it was time to speak. "This isn't fair," she murmured, a quiet steel underlining her words, exposing the aching truth of her experience. The crowd seemed to hold its breath. At that moment the door swung open and all eyes turned as security entered. Her heart raced. She hadn't anticipated this. Then he walked in. Jonathan Robinson, her father, towering and defiant, and recognition rippled through the passengers. A collective gasp. A flicker of guilt and uncertainty crossed their faces. As he approached, the weight of the situation hung heavy. Satisfaction mixed with disappointment danced in her chest. They had misjudged her. But the adult's behavior, rooted in avarice and ignorance, was an unjust stain on the flight. The protagonist adjusted her hoodie, drawing a deep breath as the white woman's tirade echoed around her. "You don't belong here," the woman sneered, her voice sharp like shards of glass. The eyes of the surrounding passengers flitted between them, some nodding at the woman, others tensed in silence. "This is first class, you know," the antagonist pressed, leaning forward aggressively. But today, something inside the protagonist sparked. "I'm right where I'm supposed to be," she replied quietly, her demeanor steady as she fought the tremor in her voice. "My father worked hard for this seat." The woman's expression faltered for a moment, surprise flickering across her features. This was no longer just the frightened girl she had expected. The protagonist's gaze met the flight attendant, Lisa, who hesitated, caught between the two worlds. "You can't just sell out the truth," the girl continued, her words gaining strength. "It's not about money. It's about respect." Around her, the tension shifted. The passengers who had been voicing their disdain began to murmur, their convictions uncertain. The protagonist caught a glimpse of the captain arriving, a steady presence amidst the rising storm. "Let's hear what she has to say," he instructed, calmness overpowering the chaos. Suddenly, the girl felt the weight of their expectations shift. She spoke up again. "I deserve to be here just like anyone else." Each word came from a place of strength, not fear. As the captain nodded, signaling her to continue, the protagonist felt a swell of vindication and clarity. She wasn't just an outsider. She was someone with her own story, reclaiming her space. Small yet potent victories began to accumulate, paving her way towards something bigger. As the plane slowed to a comfortable cruising altitude, silence wrapped around the cabin, until it was pierced by the haughty words of the white woman. "Excuse me, but I believe you're in my seat." Her perfume hung thick in the air, mingling with tension, as every eye turned to the young girl in the hoodie, scribbling notes in her well-worn journal. With a startled glance, the girl looked up, uncertainty flickering in her dark eyes. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I checked my ticket. I'm in the right seat." Her voice trembled but remained steady, revealing the steel beneath her unease. The older woman's smile twisted into something menacing. "First class isn't for people like you." Laughter rippled through some nearby passengers, the echoes of entitlement taunting her. The flight attendant arrived, initially supportive, only to subtly fold under the pressure of the white woman's insistent pleas and whispered bribes. Confusion turned to despair in the girl's heart. She could feel their eyes, the whispers weighing heavier than lead. Then came Captain Davis, his authority cutting through the chaos like a hot knife through butter. The girl breathed a flicker of hope into her tangled emotions and mustered her courage. "I don't want this," she said, her voice rising above the din. "This isn't right." The words hung in the air, a stark contrast to the stagnant mockery around her. Davis listened, his attention pivoting, the tension shifted. As if on cue, the cabin doors opened and the professional security team strode in. Gasps rippled through the passengers. The girl's heart raced, fear and anticipation colliding. "Mr. Robinson is on board," one of the officers spoke, eyes scanning the crowd. And then he appeared, Jonathan Robinson, a pillar of the airline industry and her father. The faces around her paled. Judgment shifted as realization dawned. The white woman stuttered, her confidence evaporating into embarrassment, while hushed whispers buzzed through the cabin. The girl, caught between vindication and disappointment, let out a shaky breath as she stepped forward, safe now. It wasn't the revenge she craved, but an emotional redemption, a reminder of identity and dignity in a world all too eager to belittle her. Silent smiles filled the seats, her witness to justice, fighting back against the noise of broken expectations. As I sit in the quiet aftermath, the chaos of that flight feels distant now, yet the echoes of those moments linger. I look back and see a girl thrust into an unfair storm, faced with voices that sought to define her by mere appearance. Yet in that chaos, I found a spark of resilience I never knew I had. The humiliation was sharp, but so was the realization that even the most entrenched biases can be challenged. When Captain Davis finally listened, something shifted, not just in that cabin, but within me. I learned the power of standing tall, of speaking out. Still, I can't shake the disappointment in the adults who let privilege cloud their judgment, who judge me without knowing me. It's a reminder that strength comes not just in unwavering confidence, but also in compassion for others navigating their path. So I ask you, have you ever felt judged unfairly? What would you have done in my shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's explore the blurred lines of right and wrong, power and bias together. Your voice matters.